So, Preston, we always start the show with the question we ask every single wrestler. If you could sum
Okay.
your career up so far with everything you've done in one word, how would you describe it?
Honestly, probably versatile, meaning all my characters have been completely different from each other. So yeah, I would probably say versatile.
Interesting word. Interesting. Have you noticed something, Jordan? Every interview we do, we seem to get a new word to add to his list.
Yeah, different, innit?
Absolutely, and stuff like that. Preston, how's the week been for yourself, mate? All right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything exciting or just usual stuff?
Usual stuff, man. Just living life, you know.
Living life, straight to the point. I love it. One Breezy, do you want to kick us off with obviously today's show?
Yeah, so obviously, like I've said to Liam, we are joined by Ring of Honor AEW star Preston Vance, and let's kick it off with where did you first discover wrestling, Preston?
As a fan, it was my babysitter's son was obsessed with wrestling, so we would always play No Mercy on Nintendo 64. And
What a game.
my favorite character was actually Billy Gunn, and he was still my favorite wrestler of all time is Billy Gunn, which is cool because now we're friends. I'm friends with his kids. We're coworkers. But I loved DX. That's where I first discovered it as a fan. Um, the match that really made me want to like, man, this is what I want to do was Rock versus Hogan WrestleMania 18 in Toronto, and just the crowd going ballistic before they even locked up. So that's where I discovered it as a fan. As a performer, I had no idea how to even get into it. You know, I was like, so I researched when I was my last year of college, researched, and then I found a place in New Jersey called the Monster Factory. So that's where I discovered it as a performer. But as a fan, Nintendo 64 and WrestleMania 18.
Interesting. I mean, Nintendo 64, that's old, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
It's a good game, I'm going to be honest. It's a solid game.
Yeah, over to you, Liam.
Absolutely. So, what did you learn at the Monster Factory? What's some of the big things you learned there?
Honestly, how the business worked. I never knew I never knew, you know, as a fan, it's like, you know, you realize like, okay, well, you can get into it if you want to because they always need new people, but I had no idea how to get into it. So, like I said, my senior year of college, I researched every school in the country and would print out, I mean, just like a stack of papers and see like pros and cons lists of should I move because I grew up in Michigan, so I was going to move to do this. Um, and then I finished my last exam. I packed up my car with as much stuff as I could, basically just like trash bags full of shit. Moved to New Jersey, had nowhere to live. I was homeless for the first 4 months, like lived out of my car. But I never missed a day of training. And the thing that was the most shocking to me is like, I mean, it's literally like almost learning a new language. That's how I describe it to people. Uh, and just like, you know, there's no like direct path to making it. It's like um everyone has like their own journey. So what I learned the most outside of obviously like the wrestling and the moves and stuff is how to navigate through this industry.
Okay. One brings it back to you, bro.
What would you say, Preston, is the most rewarding thing about being a wrestler?
I would say people. So I grew up in a very small town where most people don't do anything or leave. Um, and so I would say when people will reach out to me and they could be like, "Wow, this guy made it," so like I can too. So I'd say like kind of inspiring people where like if you want to do this, like you can do it, but you just have to get up and do it. I'd say that's definitely the most rewarding thing for me. Or when someone reaches out and it's like, "Hey, I've been watching you and your journey, and it makes me want to become a pro wrestler as well." Um, and then growing up, I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease at 10 years old, and so I was in and out of hospitals a lot. So I would always search for like pro athletes, wrestlers, like, man, who had this? Like, can I even do this type thing? When I was 10 years old, so I like thinking if I was 10 years old now and I found myself, I would inspire myself to like, wow, I can actually do this if I want to do it. So I would say that's by far the most inspiring thing about being in this business.
Oh, awesome.
Awesome, absolutely. So, talk a little bit about obviously signing for AEW. How that all came about.
How I got signed to AEW.
Yes.
Okay, so I started wrestling in 2015. I had a tryout with WWE in 2017, and I tore my ACL 2 weeks before that. And then I had another tryout with WWE in 2019 and tore my other ACL 2 weeks before that one. And at that point, AEW was just kind of in talks or being started. I was living in Atlanta, training at a QT Marshall School, and he kind of befriended Cody Rhodes at that point. And I'd always see Cody around the school, and I knew this AEW thing was happening, but then me and him became friends. But I'm not someone who's just like going to ask for a job. Um, and it was such a new company where I don't, as much as I love QT and Cody, they weren't just going to put their name on me. And and then I remember COVID had just started. I was in Michigan like with my family, and QT called me and was like, "Hey, can you come to Jacksonville tomorrow and do a dark match?" So I booked a flight. I was the only person on the whole flight because COVID had just started, so flights were like basically getting shut down. I wrestled Darby, who's amazing. And so we did a dark match. He gave me a lot, like probably like 70-30. So that happened. And then the following week they filmed the rest, like 6 weeks of TV at QT school. And that's where I met Brodie. And then Brodie watched my match, and then he went to Cody and QT, was like, "Hey, does he have like a deal with WWE coming up, or like what's going on?" And they're like, "No." And then he went to Tony and was like, "Hey, I want Vance with me. I'll take care of him on screen, off screen, whatever." So then I did one dark match and got signed basically solely because of Brodie, which is cool because a lot of people think that I like knew him before, and I met him one day and I got signed.
I remember those shows, obviously at QT school and thing. It was crazy times to be a wrestling fan, right?
Oh, dude, it's so weird. But it was awesome. I think I was the first person signed during the pandemic. Me and Anna Jay were both signed the same day. I think we were the first talent signed during that COVID period. But it was very odd. But we all talk about it still, like in the locker room, and it was so fun because we were forced to like always be together, and we literally were like a real like family, like a team. But it definitely was a weird a weird time to be a wrestling fan and a wrestler.
I imagine. John, back to you, bro.
So, obviously, it's very unfortunate that obviously Brodie Lee passed in 2020. But was there, I mean, Dark Order in 2020, like, was huge. And
Uh-huh.
2019, 2020 was huge. Was there any plans that we didn't know about, like, for it to, because it was a heel stable at the time, was it?
Yeah.
Was there any plans that none of us knew about that before, if Brodie didn't have died, was it plans for him to go for the title or the group to add more people to it, or was it just even plans for the group that we didn't know about as wrestling fans?
So that I do not know.
Okay.
But me and John Silver talk about it a lot. Like, where would the group be, and where would all of us be individually if Brodie was still around? I personally think he 100% would have been the world champion at some point because he was just so good in every aspect of wrestling. Like in every way possible, he was just like the perfect wrestler. He's someone which is so rare in this business where you don't hear one person say something bad about ever. So as far as like actual plans for the Dark Order, I don't know. Um, but personally, I 100% believe he would have been world champion at some point.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's like it was very sad because when I saw it, I was like, what? Throughout the end of 2020, I was like, where is he? Because he had that amazing feud with Cody, and that to
Yeah,
top it off with the dog collar match.
yeah, because that was his
And I
last
was
match
like,
ever. Was him
yeah, I
him and
know.
Cody dog collar match.
Yeah. And I was like, where is he? And then December, I saw it.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
yeah, it's
I
very
was
it's very
shocked.
very shocking because at that point we were in Jacksonville every week, and he would drive up from like Tampa area, and then I would drive down from Atlanta, and we for some reason would always get to the hotel at the same time. We'd always walk in together, and this was October, and I remember seeing him, and I was waiting for him by my car, and he goes, "Oh, go ahead, Vance. I don't feel very good. Like I don't want to get you sick. And I didn't think anything of it. That was the last time I ever saw him, you know. And then I was like, holy shit! So to all of us, it was just kind of a shock and came out of nowhere.
Quite sad, to be honest.
Absolutely was. So obviously, I'm going to stick with Brodie Lee. What's some obviously your memories? What's some things you're going to remember with Brodie?
My best memories with him are filming BTE, because we had so much fun, and he's such like, it's crazy because he's so big and so intimidating. Like when I first met him, I was really intimidated, and then we instantly hit it off. We were talking about, you know, family, and he's a big hockey fan. I played hockey for 12 years, so we've instantly connected big time. And but he's so just naturally intimidating and has this thing about him. And then, but filming the BTEs, man, he's a riot, dude. He's such a goofball, and he just had this big, like, infectious laugh where if he was laughing, everyone in the room was laughing, and he would always try to get me and Silver to crack and like mess up the skits, you know. So I think when I think Brodie, I think filming the BTE was the my most fond memories with him.
Absolutely. One breezy back to you, bro.
Was Brodie Lee always meant to be the leader of the Dark Order, or was there certain people that you've heard that could have potentially been? Because I've heard, and I've read it that apparently Matt Hardy was in talks to do it. Then I heard that Marty Scurll was in talks to do it. But then when Brodie Lee, I thought perfect.
Yeah. So I don't know any of that stuff because I was brought in after Brodie. And I know the Dark Order thing was kind of, started with Uno and Stu. So they would probably know. I don't know. I've heard the Matt Hardy thing before. I've never heard the Marty thing. But yeah, I don't know. But I mean, you couldn't have picked a more perfect leader for that group, coming from, you know, when he was part of the Wyatt family to now he's got his own stable. But yeah, I don't know if there was another person in talks, but if there was, they definitely ended up picking the right guy.
100%. And I will agree with whoever says that Mr. Brodie Lee was the right choice, because he
Yeah.
really was. But, like, I mean, your career, I mean, you've been with AEW for like 5 years now, going into 2026.
Yep.
I mean, you've, like you mentioned earlier, you've played so many different, you've played some different characters. My favorite work of yours was LFI. And I think I'm going to let Liam do the first question for LFI. Take it away, Liam.
Absolutely. I mean, how did this whole LFI thing come about?
So I was in Dark Order, and I think Tony was trying to figure a way to get the mask off of me. And LFI was kind of forming and getting some steam, and then I didn't know any of those guys. I briefly met Roosh backstage, and me and him, we clicked really well, and they went to Tony and was like, "Hey, we want Vance with us." So then we came up with the whole thing where I take my mask off and throw it at little Brodie's feet, which was little Brodie's idea, to be honest. And then so did this big turn. Yeah, it was just kind of, they saw me backstage and were like, "We want that guy." That's basically the origin of me joining them. And there wasn't like, we didn't have sit down talk. Like they went to Tony and was like, "Hey, we want him." And then I think that was Tony's kind of like way to get me out of the mask and stuff.
Okay.
I mean, you did the heel turn, and I love it when you, Roosh, and Dralistico were doing the. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you was in like a warehouse one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you all got attacked, didn't you? And then like
those vignettes that
fought
we
against
did.
them.
Yeah,
They were unbelievable.
those were in we shot those in Mexico City. We were
Wow.
there for like 11 days, 12 days, filming this like really cinematic stuff. And Roosh had like a film crew down there that he knew that we used, and we loved how that stuff turned out. And yeah, it was such a cool, it was such a different dynamic than the Dark Order, you know. So it was like a challenge in itself. I like the Dark Order doing the 10 was a challenge because I wore a mask and I never wore a mask before. So that was the biggest challenge with that, as far as the breathing. Now you can't show your face, so you, like, showing the emotions is all body language. Didn't really talk, so it's kind of like that was difficult, but I learned how to do it and still kind of get my own character personality out there with the mask. And then going to LFI, the biggest challenge was the language barrier. You know, they all speak, their first language is Spanish. I don't know any Spanish. So that was the biggest challenge, being with them, was that. But it also, it's like, I love being able to prove to people, like, you know, give me any character and I'm going to do it. It's not, I don't want to be one dimensional. You know, I think that, you know, the challenge, like the challenging parts, is what makes it really fun, and really breaks you out of your shell, and it kind of gives you confidence to like prove like you can basically do anything that's thrown your way. But I loved working with those guys. Roosh is awesome. He naturally just brings out such intensity in everyone he works with. So teaming with him helped a bunch, especially when we were doing those like blood matches with like Moxley and Claudio and Hook and Jungle Boy. Like, I love that type of shit. So I had an absolute blast working with those guys.
Something over to you, Liam.
Absolutely. So you mentioned obviously negative one and stuff like that. You formed a really good bond, and I always remember that heel turn. And I was quite sad. You mentioned it was his idea. How did it all come about?
So the actual heel turn, like the physically throwing the mask, was his idea. Me turning on the group was his idea, but that part was, and he's just such a natural. Like, with he's gonna be such a star. Like, he's, you know, he's training already. He's been training. He's good. Um, but it was like a good, like, it was so perfect. Like, it was such a, you know, that's where you kind of blur the lines, where, like, you know, mine and his friendship is a real thing, you know, like when his dad passed, like, I was very close to him and made sure he was okay. And we would, you know, FaceTime 10 times a day, you know, and then as time goes on, I hear less and less from him, which is good, because that means, you know, he's like healing and kind of getting used to it, whatever. But it was such a good term because it really blurred the lines of reality and pro wrestling. So they mentioned the turning, and he was there, so I was like, okay, we have to use him in it. And then and then like, okay, well, how I'm going to take the mask off? And he had the idea where he'd be on stage and I take it off and throw it at his feet. uh so I think it turned out great. I loved that. I think that was on Rampage. And then there's a shot in there where the camera cuts and there's some lady in the crowd like crying, so I was like, nailed it. But yeah, that's one of my most favorite moments in the past 5 years.
Okay. Well, Breezy, back to you, bro.
What's probably one of the most important things you've learned from Cody Rhodes from his time there?
um he So I would have this bad tendency where, like, if things weren't going exactly how you want them to go, you know, you would think about it constantly, even when you leave work and then you're off till the following week, and basically don't let this business consume you. And every single wrestler is going to think they should be higher on the card than they are, no matter what. And he said he learned this when when I want to say maybe one of the WrestleManias, where Undertaker was unhappy with where he was at on the card. He's like, man, if Undertaker's unhappy with where he's at, then no one will ever, you know, you'll never be fully happy where you're at on the card. So it's kind of just like roll with the punches, and yeah, don't let this stuff consume you so much.
Yeah, good advice for him.
Absolutely. So we asked this question a lot of people and stuff. That, in your opinion, at AEW now, who would you say is the locker room leader?
Ooh, ooh, I have a couple. Huh. I mean, Orange Cassidy's a great one. Uh, as far as, very accessible. Um, he's friends with everybody. Uh, he's got a great mind. I'd say him. Moxley, I think it's hard to argue that he's not, you know, like. And then the third, I'd probably say Eddie Kingston.
Yeah.
Um, just he's so passionate about it, and they're guys who've been wrestling for 20 some years, so they know a lot more than I know, and a lot of the guys on our roster. So yeah, I'd say probably one of them. I love our locker room. I get along with everybody, and I think there's so many good minds, especially like the older guys, and they're all like very willing to help us. But yeah, I'd say one of those three if I were to pick my quote unquote locker room leader.
Yeah. Okay. One breeze back to you, bro.
There's a few people that we've interviewed, and I think you'll agree with me as well, Liam. I think there's two previous AEW talent that we've had. They've said Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Ortiz was one.
Yeah, Ortiz said Orange Cassidy, and I think
Yeah.
Nigel said as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that'd be probably if we were to take a vote, he'd probably win the vote with that.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's
Okay.
crazy. That's crazy though when you think about it. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't see that from him as a character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crazy. Anyway, short question, Joe Brombeezer.
Is the negative one someone that you would like to face in the near future when he becomes the age of
100%.
18, 19, 20?
100%. I would love to. I mean, dude, that'd be just the best. I'm such a fan of long-term storytelling, and that's like, I mean, it's just there on a silver platter, like. So I would love to take advantage of that and do something. And like I said before, I think he's going to be so good. So yeah, I would love to do to definitely come back around to that in 5 years or so.
Interesting.
I'd definitely pay to see that as well because I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, it would actually. Because like you mentioned, Preston, it's like a full circle moment for you. Obviously,
Yeah.
you were close to his father. He was in the group. You turned on him. You had the thing on the stage for the heel turn.
Yeah.
And then, like you mentioned, now he's kicking ass, training to be just like his father. And then
Yeah.
it'll be a full circle moment.
Yeah, man.
Next
Absolutely.
question for you, Liam.
Absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit about the AEW fan base. How would you describe the fan base in your opinion?
They're so hardcore about it. Like they're like true like wrestling fans. Like every time I meet one of them, they'll tell me stuff like they know. I'm like, man, you really know stuff about everybody. Like they're telling me stuff that I forgot about myself. So they're just they're the most hardcore. They're not like a commercial like casual fan. They're all just like hardcore fans, which it makes like I love it. I love how into it they are because like the whole saying is like AEW is for the sickos, and it's like it's true. Those guys, they like the AEW fan base is awesome. I've had nothing but good encounters with all of them. But I would say to describe them, they're definitely not like commercialized fans. Like they're real wrestling fans.
I definitely agree with that. One breeze back to you, bro.
What would you say the biggest difference is from working Ring of Honor to working AEW is?
Uh, I mean AEW, the live TV is probably the biggest thing where like you really gotta be on all your time cues and there's a lot less room for error, obviously. But Ring of Honor is fun because you also can like toy around with stuff more. And you normally do have more time and you can use that platform to really get your work and like your character over more, which then you can translate to AEW television. So I'd say that's probably the biggest difference between the two.
Yeah. What do you?
Absolutely. So, what's some of your favorite, obviously, highlights? You've obviously mentioned a couple, but is any other highlights which is your favorites in AEW right at the moment?
My favorite highlights in AEW.
Yep.
I would say, I mean, I think will always be my number one, no matter what. Was the Brodie tribute show? Uh,
Yeah.
that was just such a. I mean, it was the most perfect wrestling show in my opinion ever. And there's even people like critics who say the same thing. Like it was just so it was so well laid out. Like yeah, it was awesome. So I'd say that will always be my number one AEW wrestling moment was being able to, be a big part of that show. And it's like, it really made you feel super honored.
Absolutely. One breezy back to you, bro.
I mean, was there ever any plans for you to win any tag gold with Rouge or Jessica or even with the Dark Order?
So when I joined Roosh, we both thought we were going to get a good tag run. But as far as like for sure, like set in stone, here, this and that, no. And plus, it's kind of the nature of the business. The whole thing is like cars subject to change. So like you could hear one thing and that might never happen, or it could be really spur of the moment. You're like, oh shit, this is happening now. So, no, to touch on that, no. But I think me and Roosh really thought we were going to have maybe a little more of a tag run.
Yeah. Would you?
Absolutely. So, what's one of the biggest pieces of advice you've got given throughout your whole career?
Oh, biggest piece of advice. So what I tell people I'll just tell you the advice I always give. So, when people are, hey, do you have any advice on like how to make it in this industry? I always say, be in the best shape you possibly can from day one. Show up jacked, and number two, just be a good person. That's it. You can go a long way with your look, and if people like you and are willing to like vouch for you, uh, I think that's more important than being the greatest bell to bell wrestler of all time. Uh, but I think your shelf life's a little longer. So yeah, I would say the advice I always give is be jacked and be a good person.
Okay, interesting advice. One breezy back to you, bro.
So we're coming up to close to the end of 2025, Preston. What is something that you either want to achieve in 2026 or that you want to happen?
I would love to get some more steam going with the frat house. I love those guys. I love working with them. Um, and I would love to get some. We would love to get the ROH trios titles, to be honest. So that's probably the main goal. Um, and two, it's those guys. They're great to work with. I've known all of them for a while, and I've known Griff for probably 8 years from the Indies. And then the other guys a little later, but we're all like legit friends, which helps. And two, it's like going from, like I was saying, all the characters are such like a 180. I think this is definitely the most myself out of all the characters I've been. Um, so I think just getting some more TV time with those guys and just really seeing where that goes. 'Cause I feel like this faction is, we can be put in any spot, and I feel like we have a lot of legs to us. And I want to see like really like how far we can take this group.
Awesome. Over to you.
Absolutely. So, is there any people you'd like to get in the ring with in AEW? I'm sure you've got like a list.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite person to wrestle is John Moxley, and I've wrestled him multiple times now. Uh, I feel like we have good chemistry, same kind of style. I'd love to wrestle Darby again. He's another one I love wrestling. Orange Cassidy, I would love to wrestle again. But as far as people I haven't wrestled, um, man, I'm trying to think. So whenever anyone asks me like dream opponent AEW, it's always for me Moxley, even though I've already done it. Uh, yeah, I don't know. As far as people that I haven't been in the ring with. Yeah, no, I think I'll keep my answer with Moxley. He'll always be my number one. I want to get in the ring with all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree there. What breezy up to you, bro?
What's your favorite part of working for AEW?
The locker room, honestly. I mean, it's like you go to work and you hang out with your friends. It's awesome. Tony's a awesome boss. He like cares about us as humans. Um, so I think going to work, and which is crazy that you like call it like work, because for me it's a dream job and it's so fun. But to go there and hang out with your boys and working for a boss who cares that much makes you want to work harder. So I would say my favorite thing about AEW is Tony and the locker room.
Okay. That's pretty good. Yeah, really good answers, to be honest.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Absolutely. So, is it hard to be a wrestling fan being involved in wrestling? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, and I think it is. I was, yeah, I don't even know how to explain it, but it definitely is harder to be a fan now. Maybe because you're just more critical of it, and you don't get like. I just remember as a kid, I would get so lost and infatuated with watching any type of wrestling from any company, and yeah, I don't have that. I mean, I still love it just as much, if not more. But from a fan perspective, it is much harder to enjoy wrestling as a true fan. But on the flip side, there's some things that happen because now being in it, you know how hard it is. So now when shit goes really good, now you do appreciate it way more. So I would so as from a true fan, it is harder to be a true fan of it, but also you being in it, you appreciate it way more.
Okay. Well, I'm easy up to you, bro.
Is there plans for yourself, Preston, or whether that's with we know AEW is coming back over to the UK, but is there any plans for yourself to come to the UK and do like a little tour or anything? Is that something you'd be
No,
willing to do?
there isn't, but I would absolutely love to, because I know like the fan base, the pro wrestling fan base out there is so awesome. So I would love to do, the AEW shows over there. I would love to do any indie shows over there. And yeah, like I said, the fans, 'cause I see videos all the time from even like indie shows, and the fans there are fucking awesome. Like they love it. So I would love to go there and perform.
Awesome. I mean, it's something that we would be willing to have you over here. I mean, you're an unbelievable talent. So,
I'd
yeah,
definitely be there straight away.
over to you.
Any promoters in the UK watching it, but Preston Vance for the UK. I'm just saying it, by the way.
Yes.
Dear, absolutely. Yeah. So my question is obviously, how hard is it? Obviously, juggling wrestling and obviously family life. Is that hard?
Wrestling and family life.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not married and don't have kids, so for me it's probably a little easier. I have a dog, uh, but I live in Florida. My whole family, my mom, dad, brother, nephews, my whole family, they still all live in Michigan. I do go home probably every other month to visit them, but I don't have like an actual immediate family of like a wife and kids and stuff. So for me, it's a little easier. I do think it would be hard, and there are a lot of wrestlers who I work with who do have wife and kids and stuff. I personally don't, so I guess I don't have a ton of great insight on that question.
That's absolutely fine. No problem. I'm breezy over to you, bro.
Who is your Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, Preston?
Oh, okay. I'd say uh I'd say can I do I want one to be a faction.
You can
So
do any.
so I'd say DX, all of them together as a faction. I just thought they were the coolest group ever. Stone Cold, Ric Flair. Ric Flair's probably number one for me. So Flair, DX, Stone Cold, and then probably, oh man, that's hard. The fourth one's hard. I'd say either. I want to say Rock, but I also want to pick someone from like the kind of newer class. And if I did that, it'd be Cena. Um, I don't know. I'd probably say I'd probably say Cena, just because you know in the late '90s and stuff. I wasn't really watching wrestling because I was pretty young, so like Cena really, for me, what I was he was probably my favorite when I was really into wrestling. So I'd probably say yeah, Flair, DX, Cena, and Stone Cold. Probably my four.
Awesome.
I'm just happy you said DX because I'm a massive fan of DX.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I got in trouble so much as a kid doing the suck it thing when I was like, first grade. I love that. And Billy Gunn's like real life, like the coolest dude ever. I hope I'm half as cool as him when I'm his age.
I mean, what is he? 62 and still going, or
Yeah, 60 something, man. He's look, dude. He looks so good. It's
Unbelievable.
crazy. It's crazy. Like he's a freak.
He's the fact that he's still going after. I think it's 4 decades or 5 decades he's been in
Yeah,
the business.
yeah, man. He's
It's
awesome.
crazy. Man.
Absolute bonkers. No further questions from me, one reason.
So, who would you say from you looking in the locker room for 2026? Who would you say, male and females, are want to watch?
Ooh, ones to watch. Um, Male, I would say. Oh, that's so hard. I'm trying to think of someone who's relatively like a newer signing. Um, huh. Yeah, I'm trying to think someone. Honestly, I'd say what for the males, I'd say Brody King. I think
Okay.
he's so fucking good and he's cool as hell and he's big and yeah, I'd say Brody King. And then for the females, I'd probably say I'm trying to think like the original girls who got signed early, like they're awesome. But as far as like one of the newer ones, Tekla's whole thing is pretty rad and like different, you know.
McGinnis
Uh,
said Tekla.
yeah, her whole from her entrance to everything is just it's cool as hell, you know. So I'd probably say, and you know, not take anything away from the other girls like who are the like original ones there because they're all great. But as far as like the newer one, I'd say probably her.
Yeah.
Okay. That's yeah. It's like people mention Orange Cassidy. There's a few people that I've asked that question to, and people said Tekla.
Yeah,
Like a few people have said Tekla.
she's cool. She's so different than like
Yeah.
than a lot of the other female wrestlers.
And
I
then
said Kyle. I said Kyle Fletcher for 2025.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's good. I mean, all those guys, like even like Takeshita's so awesome. But yeah, I think I love watching Brody King. Just a big brute, you know.
Preston versus Brodie King coming up.
Oh, we've gotten in the ring a few times when we did stuff with them and like House of Black and stuff.
that was good.
Yeah, he's fun to work.
Absolutely.
So Preston, you can pick one independent wrestler who is not signed to any promotion. Who would it be, male or female, that you would love to just slide right into the AEW system and that you would think would fit perfectly?
Huh. So I have an answer, but he already is like with us and recently got signed though. So I'm gonna use him as my answer, and that's Adam Priest. Uh,
Okay.
he would even be one where I'd be like one to watch in 2026. So I've known him for a while from the indies, and he is so good. And he's just like it's so weird because he's small, but he has like something about him, like an aura. Even talking to him like as a person, he's a redneck from Alabama, and I think he's cool as hell. And so I would say him. Um, as far as I mean, he's not an indie wrestler anymore. I can't really think of one that really pops out in my head. But as far as like recent guys off the indies who are now like basically with us, I'd say Adam Priest is my number one.
Okay. Yeah. I'd probably agree with you on that one.
Yeah, he's good, man. Really good.
Mm. So the final few questions. Have you got any more, Liam, or do you want me to?
Yeah, you can wrap this up, man. That's fine. I'm just happy just listing me.
Yeah. So the final few questions. You've been there for pretty much AEW's existence, apart minus obviously a year. Who would you've seen some people come and go? Who would you say is the AEW Mount Rushmore for the 6 years that it's been?
Oh man. Okay.
Male
I'd
or female?
yep.
In fact, sorry, do male and then do a female one.
Okay. I mean, I gotta put MJF.
Yeah.
I gotta put Hangman. Um, Kenny, and I mean the clear four choices would honestly be, but you can't leave Max off of there. But the clear choices would be Cody, Kenny, the Bucks, and Hangman. realistically, you know, like they were the start of the whole revolution. So I guess if I'm gonna pick the four, it'd be them. But then you can, you know, you can definitely argue like MJF, Darby,
Mhm.
Moxley, Brodie Lee. But if I'm doing true Mount Rushmore, I'd kind of pick the guys who essentially started it, which are them, which are, you know, Cody, Hangman, Kenny, and the Bucks. So I think I'll stick with that for my answer for that.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So what I like to finish it off with isn't just obviously it's nice to be positive in this world with all the negative that's going on. What is an inspirational message from yourself?
Um, don't let the outside world make you jaded, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So just because everything around you, if it is going to shit, just stay positive and true to yourself. Because yeah, the world is it's, you know, it's a crazy place, but you know, you can't get influenced by the craziness. You know, just always, you know, be who you're supposed to be.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Where can people find you?
Instagram and Twitter, both Preston Vance, PRES10VANCE.
Awesome. Do you want to wrap it up for us, Liam?
Absolutely. So one thing what we'll do for that, and Preston, we'll put all links in the description of this video so people can go jump that, go and support you and stuff like that. How's that, man? Is that easy enough for you?
Oh, wait, what do you want me to do?
I said what we'll do is we'll put all links obviously in the description of this video for you, so it's a lot easier for people.
Okay.
Easy enough and stuff like that. So one thing we obviously like to do at the end of the show is we like to let the guest do the outro. So shall we let him do the outro, One Breezer?
Yep.
Absolutely. So you can say anything you want. You can promote anything you want. We'll end the stream. Preston, take it away.
Oh, hold on, real quick. What's the official name of this podcast?
One
It's actually
breeze.
two.
Well,
Juan Breezy.
yeah, there's two actually. So
There's One
Juan
Breezy
Breezy.
and the Magic of Wrestling.
And the magic of wrestling. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
This is Preston Vance. I want to thank you for having me. Subscribe to Juan Breezy and the magic of wrestling, and always tune in to All Elite Wrestling and Ring of Honor.
Straight to the point. I love it.